now, and it lets you know, right? Like, yeah, it'll tell you. I think it still does, where it'll say, oh, NOD. It'll. I think it's labeled pre-foreclosure, meaning they got their first notice of default. Yeah. Now dealing with them is a little different because some people are touchy about it, right? You approach them or call them, they're like, leave me alone. So that's more, in most cases, a process where you're going to have to reach out to them multiple times.
Yeah, actually, I called one a couple days ago, and I pick up, and I forgot what I said, but the way they responded to me, well, actually, it sounded like it was really loud, so I was like, oh, hey, so-and-so, this is Louisa with Road Broker. Is this a good time to talk? Is it sounds like you're at work or something like that?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, yeah, no, I already have a mortgage company. And I was like, what? And then he hung up really quick, and I was like, I didn't say anything about mortgage.
Yeah.
No, but I guess that he assumed because I said
that would happen with me too when I was with Century 21. They thought I was 21st Century Insurance, and they would say the same thing sometimes, right? Yeah, that happens. But NODs,
his mind was on mortgage. Yeah, my mind was on something else.
Yeah. That's another lead source, right? Again, same thing. If you're going to get a certification, you can do a short sales certification, right? We'll teach you a foreclosure process and doing short sales. That's you can offer people too. Because when I have conversations with those people, I say, look, you know, have you kind of decided what you want to do? Because you have a few options if you're not aware. And once they're open to talk to you, then you can say, look, you can do a short sale. Some people qualify for it, right? If you want to try to save the house, you know, I can connect you with the lender and we can see if we can do it, or you can just let it go, right? If that's really what you want to do. But it's definitely a lead source, again, that you have to learn a little bit more about and then actively work it. Because if you guys are going to work probate or NOD, you have to actively every day. Like you can even go to a local courthouse and get a list of all the probates if you guys didn't know. That takes a little bit more work. I would recommend you, and we'll talk about this, that you guys subscribe to some of these softwares that provide that information for you, because a lot of these, which we'll cover later, will give you a lot of those leads. So instead of you having to go to the local courthouse or the county and find all that stuff, you pay these people like $40 a month or whatever, and they'll give you all those leads and deliver it to your inbox every day. Then you can put it in Mojo, or you can hand dial and you can call them, right? But you also get the address, right? And then you can go visit in person as well. Right, that's up to you. Another one, I put JLJS, it's just listed, just sold. To your question, it could be any listing. I typically like to pick hot, just listed that are nice homes, or a just sold that maybe sold like 10,000 over asking in 2 days, because then that's good news. Well, because like when you promote a nicer one, especially on a just listed, it has a different effect on people, right? Because like if you're going to describe it or talk about it or show people any pictures, if you do have like a flyer or something on your phone, it hits them differently versus just Bob Smith's house across the street that looks just like his, right? It's more important, I think, with just sold, because if I tell them, hey, your neighbor's house just sold in 3 days for 20,000 above asking, that's like optimistic good news for them, right? You don't have to do the nice home. I just prefer to do them, because then if they do an open house, people are, yeah, exactly. So that's a good one, because you don't really, all you're doing is using market information to go knock on a door. You don't even need that. I've shown people where 10 years ago, we would just go door to door. I'm like, hey, you thinking of selling your house? Like off script, just to show them you don't need a reason to go to somebody's house. This just gives you a little bit of a hook.
Or try to be friendly, have like secondary conversations. And then in your mind, be pondering as to when can I actually say what I really want to say.
Yeah,
you know? Right. That's the weird part.
And I like this because just like with everything I do, it's straight to the point, right? If I let you know that, hey, we just listed this home, you know, I can tell them, hey, I'm stopping by to ask to see who do you know who wants to move here, right? Like it's to your point, I'm right into the conversation. They know why I'm there. I'm not beating around the bush, right? So especially with just sold, I can give them some good information and be like, well, you know, with the market being that strong, have you guys considered selling? Right now they can tell me yes or no, and we can get right into the conversation. Do you guys have scripts and all the stuff that you follow? Like you have? Okay, good. Just making sure. Another one is open house, right? I used to door knock people to invite them to the open house. Hey, we're having an open house here in 3 days. I wanted to come by and invite the whole neighborhood. Do you guys think you can make it? Because that is a, in quotes, non-salesy approach of saying, hey, I'm just inviting you to an open house, right? Have you guys ever door knocked for an open house and invited people? Yeah, how did it go? Did a lot of people show up?
It took people for them to go and show up.
Nice.
And then I had flags, and then I opened the garage. So
yeah.
Came into the garage.
Nice.
And I can't use those flags anymore because I had something else on it. But yeah.
Nice. If you guys do an open house, though, always have a lender there with you. They sign people in. People feel real comfortable talking to the lender. I don't know why some people don't feel comfortable with us in general compared to, and I get it, right? But I mean, it's just a stigma. People look at us, whether they know you or not, they put you in a box. Oh, you're a realtor, you're sleazy, you just want a commission without knowing anything. And I think you had brought it up, splitting you versus the realtor, you know, and understanding the difference. A lot of people take it personally. I don't. I already know people think that, so I'm gonna not expect them to treat me bad, but already know, okay, they're probably looking at me in that light. How can I make it easier for them? Well, let me bring in the lender. No one has ever told my lenders, no, I don't want to sign in. No, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want to talk. They've told me or my team members, but they've never said it to a lender. So a lot of times what I would also do is have the lender like sitting in a desk like this or on the counter, and I would go out and door knock again and invite people. But when you guys do an open house, I did a video a long time ago kind of describing a good process. I call it an open house event. This is how I recommend you guys do it. If you're gonna do an open house, right? For a week, I would on social, door knocking and calling, promote it to invite people. And if you do it right, you'll have people lined up when you start it. Yeah, yeah. Because you can call and knock, do social media posts, and it gives you plenty of time to let people versus telling them, hey, tomorrow. And they're like, oh, I have plans with the kids, you know? I wouldn't recommend that you do it longer than 2 hours, right? And if you're gonna do it from 12 to 2, what I do when I door knock and I call is I personally invite the neighbors and say I'm doing a private showing for just the neighbors 30 minutes before it starts. So I'll start it at 11:30, but I'll have like the 3, 4, 5, 10 neighbors that show up, right? And I do like a private little kind of viewing for them, right? And that helps you get in contact with them, get their information, have more of a personal kind of conversation with them, and they get a chance to see how you work, right? Because I even would talk to the neighbors. I'm like, would this be something you would want for your home? Like if you were to sell it, they're like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like no one's ever invited me for a private showing right before the open house, right? So it's cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I tell them too, like when I door knock or I do the open house, I say, you know, I want to give you guys, you know, preference on moving somebody here because you would rather have somebody you know move here versus a random person if you could choose, right? So it kind of makes them feel like, oh, cool, he's doing us a favor, right? So again, open house is done correctly, and then adding some of these systems things that I'm going to give you guys later will make it better because the vast majority of people that go to the open house are not going to buy the house, and it's going to require a lot of follow-up and systems on the back end, right? Because 80 to 90% of your guys' business is going to come from this, not your initial call or appointment. Right, all the stuff you see me post and other people post where we call somebody and close them and set the appointment, most of those reschedule, most of those don't work out, right? That's just the highlights that you see. The vast majority of them are here, meaning it takes 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 calls and contacts for them to finally set the appointment, and we do it. This is why they say real estate is in 90-day cycles. The people I talk to today, even if they claim they're ready now, probably won't convert for 60 or 90 days. Even though we made a first contact today and they said, hey, I'm interested, right? Cool. Expires and FSBOs, you guys know them, the low-hanging fruit. I'd recommend you go after them every day, right? What I would do is go after them all week, and the ones that I couldn't get a hold of, I would knock and call them again on the weekend, right? Because if I go to your house Saturday or Sunday, you're probably more likely to be home. And most people give up. Most agents, after 1 or 2 attempts on an expired FSBO, give up. And I know on average, based on the numbers that we've done, it's going to take you anywhere from 5 to 12 follow-up chats or contacts to get somebody to convert.
So actually talk, but you just
No, to convert. Meaning like, okay, let's meet. All right, let's say you want an appointment. On average, it'll take between 5 to 12 times.
talking to the person.
Yep. For them to say, like, okay, let's get together. Right. And on a lot of the calls, I'm asking more than once for them to meet, and they're still telling me no. And it's taken that many conversations to finally get them to say yes.
So like people will randomly hit you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, I'm thinking about it. Oh, okay, cool. When can we catch up?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
oh hey, interesting about you.
And that's a prime example of why you need to consistently lead generate, because then you get 2 or 3 like that, and you're like, oh, I'm good. I'm going to get some deals. And then
You can't focus on
they
it.
drag and drag. And then if they turn into nothing, you just wasted 2 weeks thinking you had something and not working, right? This is why the schedule comes in, right? Because no matter what, I'm lead generating every day. I'm a machine that does this. Now, later on, when you guys scale it, like I started doing 7 years ago, 8 years ago, then now you have team members, you have employees, and it's a different thing. And you're not just the workhorse working 14 hours a day, right? But that has to first be established by you, right? Home buying seminar. Have you guys ever done a home buying seminar? I know this isn't
One
for.
and, like, only And then actually, two ladies, like a few people, wasn't too much, but yeah.
That's how it always is.
So all I've done, I've just recently finished with a seminar, but online.
Okay. Zoom.
Series of videos. No.
Oh, cool.
Videos that I want to do an ad to the funnel to that.
Nice.
But I haven't done the ads yet.
Cool.
But this finished.
That's great. I would recommend you guys, even if you have a great system online, you still do it in person. In person has an effect, especially for you, right? Because like if I run a home buying seminar and somebody comes, I'm already established as the expert. I'm already the authority. I'm already.
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Like, what would be like the series of events? Like, how would you? Like, that's the thing that I wouldn't know how to run it. Like, I know what people need to know, but like, what process? That's the thing that I wouldn't know. Even though I did the videos, I don't know if that's the same way when you do it in person.
Yeah, when you do it in person, it's simple. You just have to promote it to get people there, and then when you're there, explain the whole home buying process to them. This is the first thing that we do. This is the second thing.
That's it.
And if you really want to make it good,
as simple as that.
Yeah, like your lender, have them there. Bring your vendors with you, right? This is our lender. This is blah blah blah. This is blah blah blah. I wanted to introduce you to my team. This is who you would be working with. When I said you're going to get pre-approved, it's going to be with her, right?
Okay.
And this is what it looks like. She can explain it, then she can talk, right? But yeah, just as simple as that.
And then you said doing the home buying seminar because you will get sellers that way?
You can, potentially, because a lot of people, like sometimes when I would do open houses, I would approach people, right? And depending on how they moved, because I kind of started figuring out, okay, this person's probably a first-time home buyer just by how they moved, right? I started kind of spotting patterns in them, right? Like typically the first-time home buyer doesn't move through a home as confidently as somebody who's moving from a home that they already own. I don't know. I just started noticing a difference in the vibe that I was getting, right? Like the first-time home buyer is almost like, oh my God. And the people who are selling, okay, we need to find a house. You know, it's a little bit different. And I would start asking people, great, so have you put your home on the market yet? That would be one of the first questions I would ask. And a first-time home buyer is like, what are you talking about? But someone else is like, no, we're about to start that process, and we're gonna start looking. Okay, well, I have a seller there, right? So the home buying seminar, if you do the seminar, I might necessarily get you a seller, but I threw it in there because it is a good lead source to get business for sure, right? I'm assuming Lisa went to the bathroom. Okay, I'll wait for her then. So just so you guys know, the theme of today is this basic foundational stuff. This is very boring, right? But we have to go and make sure that you have this foundation established because everything grows and builds from here. I'm sure you've heard this a million times already, huh, Annabelle?
Probably not as detailed in the sources.
Yeah.
How many classes here have you done?
Oh, between this and the other location, a ton, because we've had these spaces now for a while. I haven't, maybe like lately we haven't done any events, but right when I moved here, I did a lot. Like every 2 weeks I was doing an event. Yeah. Good? All right. Let's continue. Next one is sphere of influence, database, right? People that you know. Do all of you have an itemized list of everybody you know, have a friendship with, acquaintance with, their cell phone number, their address, their email?
Not updated.
Okay, you need to update it immediately and itemize it right away. Because every day when you prospect, right, I'm going to give you a system later here to where every day you're going to be talking to people in your database, every day that you work. And I'll break it down for you with simple math so you know exactly how many people, right? But that would be a homework. You have the schedule, right? You also have this, create an itemized list. So when I created it with my phone and everything when I was new, I used an Excel spreadsheet because I didn't have any softwares. It was about 50 people. It could be anybody. Your family's friends, your friends, people you used to work with, everybody who knows you at all, right? It doesn't have to be a good connection with them. You don't have to be best friends, but everybody you know, because everybody's a potential transaction. Because you don't know the web of the people that they know, right? Cool, but we'll cover more later, all right? Another one is meetups. You guys have interests outside of real estate, or are you all real estate robots?
I have a group ride every Tuesday. It's a PE group, so personal electric vehicles.
Nice.
And it's so cool. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
There's group rides everywhere, though,
Cool.
like in every city.
Well, make sure they all know that you're a realtor,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But in that case, you're sharing something that's common, and it's very normal for you guys to talk about everything, right? And the reason I bring that up is a lot of times I noticed in our industry, people are like secret agents. So they'll do the meetups, but like it's like they don't want to tell people what they do. And really, like what I did that makes it the easiest is when I was building my business, even though it wasn't easy, I was like excited that I was building the business. So I would tell people about my day and what I was doing, and people would just be fascinated that I was like door knocking and cold calling. They're like, dude, you're door knocking every day. But so we're talking about my career and they know, but it's like in a story and it's more me sharing what I'm doing versus me just being like, hey, do you want to sell a house? Right? But you share something in common, right? Like let's say it was like a fucking rollerblading thing. We're having a conversation while we're doing it, but I'm talking about what I was doing. Hey, dude, this guy today fucking chased me out of his house with blah, blah, blah. Like, and like, wow, you go door to door every day. And that organically is the conversation, but I'm just sharing what I was doing, right? But the meetups are great because, again, as long as people know, then that's really what, because you're going to do it anyway, right? You're going to do it whether you go to a dance studio or whatever you do. Yeah, right. Yeah, cool. All right, here's another one, sponsoring. I wrote sponsoring because back in a lot of communities back in LA, high schools, elementary schools, I sponsored a lot of teams, right? Where you donate $100, $500, whatever you want. It's a tax write-off, but typically that came with shout outs. They had like a little magazine. They would put banners in their, the gym with like my name on it and stuff like that. And that was just another group for me to infiltrate where I'm giving back, but I'm also there, right? I would go to some of the basketball games. I would go to some of the football games. So again, I was always an athlete, so that one just naturally made sense for me. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to do that, but there's other avenues of you doing that, right? Yeah. Same thing with like, I used to volunteer a lot for years in LA, volunteering to go speak at elementary schools and stuff about entrepreneurship or real estate or, financial mastery and money management, high school kids, college kids. Like I've done hundreds of like meetups and speeches now at different universities and schools. Right, that's something like if you approach the school and say, hey, I'm a local real estate agent. I'd love to talk to your class about entrepreneurship or whatever, home buying, the importance of real estate, investing in real estate. They're going to tell you yes, but you have to reach out to them. They're not going to come crawling, knocking on your door. Hey, do you want to talk to our students? But if you put yourself out there, that's an opportunity. And the students aren't going to buy or sell real estate, but now I'm branded with the school. If they like what you do, they're going to keep in touch with you. They're going to want to know more about you. You can add some of the staff to your database, right? This is how it grows and how people.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
One of my teachers, she was, Abby, the thing that gets even.
Yeah.
Well, she reached out to me after I graduated. She got in on Facebook and she said, "Oh, I'm ready to list my house. Whatever that's." I was not ready. Like I'm brand new, not ready. And then by the time I got back to her, trying to schedule something. It was funny because she gave me the opportunity to remember me.
Yeah.
But obviously at that time.
Yeah. That's the business. All right, cool. Business marketing. So do any of you guys have partnerships with businesses that you frequent? Like let's say a hair salon that you go to all the time, your accountant, barber for you, right? Stores that you go to all the time where maybe you're friendly and you kind of know people. You don't? Okay, I'll give you guys an idea. So wherever I'm at, right? LA, Miami, doesn't fucking matter. Anywhere that I go, this could be the gym too. Like let's say I go to a store that I like. Let's say it's a health food store, right? I'm a super health nut, right? And I go to a health food store, like every time I go, I'm friendly with the staff and I talk to them, right? Even if it's initially, it's, hey, how you doing, right? Good to see you. Eventually doing that, you get to know all the employees, you get to know the manager, right? So then I start asking the manager about the owner. And it's really just me going there and making my presence known and being friendly with people, right? Because the whole goal is I like this place anyway, and I would like for it to grow and do well. So I talked to the management and the owner and I asked them, hey, I come here all the time. You guys have seen me a lot. I love it here. Would it be cool if I gave you guys some free marketing? I've never been told no.
I wanted to do that.
Yeah, it's perfect, right? Especially if it's one that you really like. Like I would say start with the businesses that you're already like, maybe they know you really well, or there's already a relationship established there, right? Because then this makes it easier, especially if it's like a friend who has a business, because even if you have to work out the kinks and this is a little awkward for you when you first do it, you'll be able to work that out. So by the time you go to new businesses, it's smooth. So I say, okay, would you like for me to do some free marketing? Great. Then I tell them, hey, let's just shoot a quick video, right? Like I want to send this out to my YouTube, my database. I want to just introduce you, talk a little bit about your store, right? What makes it different, right? And I ask them simple questions. Like, how long have you been here? Why did you decide to open this business? Like, what makes it different? What makes it special? Why should somebody come here? Like, if it's a restaurant, why should somebody come eat here, Annabelle, versus all the other restaurants, right? I let them talk about their business. But I label it in the beginning, hey, this is Bryan with Real Broker, right? Ask them 2 or 3 questions, great. I'd say, fantastic, let's say it's Annabelle, right? Thanks for doing this, Annabelle. Look, before I release the final cut, I want to send it over to you to get your thumbs up. Cool? And they're going to say yes. What do I do then? I get their info. I get their number. I get their email. Now I have a business owner in my database. I send them the video. They approve it, right? And again, you guys don't have to edit it or make it crazy, but then you can post it on YouTube, your social media, right? Now I've established a connection with the business owner, right? And if you really want to step it up, I tell them in the video, hey, if you see this video, make sure you mention Team BC to Annabelle when you come by. Now they're going to be appreciative. If someone's like, oh, I saw the Team BC video, I was like, oh, okay. It shows that you brought somebody to their business and you were thinking about them, right? Now from there, what do? Later on, when I do, one thing I'm going to add here is okay, I didn't write it down here. Another thing that I do is I do events for my sphere of influence. At least once a year, I do a sphere of influence like party or event just for my database and my past clients, right? And to your point about having 3 people at your first home buying seminar, the first sphere of influence party that I did, I only had 7 people show up from my database. Some I transacted with, others I didn't. Second one, 48. Third one, 120, right? So the first one, even though I was like, fuck, I only had 7 people, but I was like, okay, I got it out of the way. I learned what I did right, what I did wrong. Second one's going to be better. Then the promotion was smoother on the second one. I had more people on my database. Boom. Second one, I was like, okay, now we're cooking. We got 50 people here almost. And by the third one, I was like, now this shit is just almost out of control, right? But to that point, we'll talk a little bit about that. Now these business owners and my vendors, I invite them to my sphere of influence parties because now I can build a better connection with them and they can be a part of what I'm doing. Because if you invite these business owners to an event that you're doing and they join, they appreciate it, but they also see what you're doing and that you run a big business, right? And anybody who's running a legitimate business does this type of stuff, right? So what did I do? A lot of these businesses that I built relationships with, I would ask them. If I had a restaurant, I would say, hey, would it be cool, Mr. Owner, if I hosted my first event here? It's probably going to be 20 or 30 people. Now, if we have a connection established, they're going to be a lot more likely to tell you yes, right? So this feeds into having more reach and more access to resources and things that otherwise you might not. Because I've had restaurant owners let me rent out a part of the restaurant for free, where normally they would charge me $2,000, right, or $1,000 or $3,000, right? So it's pretty cool just because you know them. I'm not telling you to ask them to do it for free, but they might offer it to you.
That's
right?
essentially how I did it too. I basically just had to pay for the drinks and food, but it was a winery that I knew the owner for, and I approached the owner specifically. And so that venue, which typically rents out for a few thousand, I got it on a Monday because no one was scheduled.
Very cool. There you go. That's how you do it. That's moving and shaking right there. And then the last one, again, there's more lead sources. These are just a few to give you guys an idea. It's social media, right? You can use your social media. If you do it correctly, consistently over the next year or two, you can be somebody on social media that gets business, right? One of my partners in Dallas, that's a part of our network at Real, all he does is home tours, luxury home tours in Dallas, and he gets a ton of business. I think he'll do 40 or 50 sales this year just from that, right? But it took him months and months and months of consistently doing it every day to get to that point, right? He didn't just put 2 videos and it didn't work out and he quit. He did it consistently, right? So those are just some ideas I would recommend based on all that stuff that you guys pick at least 3 or 4. I'd recommend 4 and that you work them consistently, because when you're doing this in conjunction with your contacts today, you need to track, right? So as an example, what do I mean by track? Let's say it's Monday and I make 30 contacts. I have a sheet that I create, or I do it on my computer, a numbers tracker where I say, okay, I talked to 5 expireds, I talked to 6 FSBOs today, I talked to 8 people in my sphere of influence, and I talked to 10 absentee owners, right? That would total, 29 contacts, but I'm tracking it every day. So you know how many contacts and who, because then later on, when you see how many leads and appointments you got, you can track it. And if you notice after a couple months that all your appointments are coming from absentee owners, well, guess what? You should probably spend more time talking to absentee owners because they're giving you appointments, right? basic stuff, but you have to do it that way. It's boring to track your numbers, but what I did was every week I would have 7 sheets and I would fill out the sheets every week, right? So I used paper, right? Now you can do it on your computer if you want, but I just kept stacks of paper and I would tally up every day how many people I was talking to, the lead sources, how many leads I was getting, and how many appointments I was getting. Because then you can add to that later. Listing appointments set, listing appointments attended, listing signed, and you can add all that other stuff later. Okay, any questions on that? You guys get the overarching theme here? You just have to take control of your business and have something set.
Yeah, I think I already got my takeaway.
Yeah.
Just off of the information. So.
Yeah, cool. Good? Good? No questions?
I don't think so.
Yeah, now, I personally, even though this is necessary, I hate teaching this shit sometimes because it's boring for me, right? Very boring, because this is like boring stuff, right? Oh, this is what you need to do to build your business, but it's necessary, right? Because it's the foundation. Now, to tie with social media, I wrote this down here because it is very easy with social media to use it as like your resume, right? Because when I started in the business 10 years ago, I was met with almost like question marks from people like, what the fuck do you mean social media? But now people are like, oh, what's your presence on social media? It's different how it shifted in not that long of a time. People would laugh at me before, like, oh, you're making videos, bro? What the fuck are you doing, right? Now, everyone wants to be an influencer, right? It's crazy. So I look at it this way. Until it starts getting you business, your social media is like your online resume for people, right? Because even if you are newer in your mind or you're like, man, I'm not that good yet, but your social media is sharp, you're doing the right type of content, that lays out the red carpet for you before you meet with somebody, right? It's the same thing when I follow up with people before our appointments. I send them particular videos. I say, hey, make sure you watch these 3 videos that I send you because they're important. One of them is on the importance of pricing your home correctly. The other one is commissions, and the other one is marketing or whatever, right? And when they watch that, you're establishing yourself more as an authority before you even sit down with them and meet with them, right? I want them meeting with me, not looking at me like, well, let's see what you got. I want them come like, oh man, thank you for coming. Please tell us, like, what do we need to do? Or, we're excited to work with you, right? Like, that's what I want. And this helps build that up for you, right? Just like if you guys watch content of mine before you came to an event or did anything with me, it set the tone and it laid out the table basically. Like, oh, okay, I like Bryan, I respect him, or he's good at what he does, right? It's the same thing. So there's many categories, but there's a lot that you can do. And the 3 or 4 that we'll cover today, just off the top of my head, are the ones that typically get the most views and will potentially get you the right people, right? So tips and tricks. Tips and tricks can be anything, right? Think about when a buyer or seller is potentially thinking, okay, I want to buy a home, I want to sell a home, right? What are all the things that we could talk to them about or give them tips on? I mean, there's so many. You can create this huge tree of just content that you can make, right? Number 1, how to find the right agent, right? Number 2, how to prepare your home for sale, right? Number 3, the worst mistakes you can make before you put your home on the market, right? And you can talk about like overpricing a home or something like that, right? Now, I'm bringing those up because as silly and simple as those sound, those are some of the best videos that you can make. They get shared and get a ton of views. And what do you need to tweak on it? You brand yourself. Hey, this is Bryan with Real Broker. Number 3, if you want to talk, shoot me a message or click the link in my bio and schedule a consultation, right? This is where you guys have to do what they call the call to action and drill into people. Do this. Schedule a call with me. Let's talk. Hey, this is my number. Shoot me a text and we'll set up a time to call. 555-5555, right? You guys have to be purposeful in every video and do this because from a marketing standpoint, you're basically burning your brand and that message into somebody's mind, right? And the more consistently that they hear it and the more they're familiar with you, the more likely they are when they have the need to reach out to you, right? And that's what you want. So do you guys have any questions on that? Like you literally have to dumb it down and just come up with a list of the simplest things. Documents you need to prepare yourself to buy a house, right? Here's another one. Average price points here in Miami-Dade, right? Simple stuff like that maybe in your mind you're like, oh, I shouldn't even make that content. No, that's exactly the content you need to make.
Yeah, I just have to break my own thing.
Yeah, because this is the thing, right? I'll talk with you guys about that, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's typically, it's not the material or what to do that stops people. It is internal, right? For me to give information on social media, let's say I do a top reasons to move to Miami video. Is that predicated on my skill or expertise at all? That's just ready information that I can look at and find. Hey, if you like hot and humid weather and warm water and beautiful beaches, Miami's a place for you. Do I need to be a 10-year real estate agent that sold 300 homes to say that? How about the home buying process? Does it matter how many buyers I've helped to tell people, hey, these are the documents you need, that when you sit down with a lender, it's going to get you pre-approved, right? And if you want to increase the likelihood of it, this is what you do, right? Hey, pay off your credit cards, do this. Like all that's just basic information. That is independent of how many homes I've sold and how long I've been in the business. Now I see you squirming. What is it?
It's just so funny. I don't know how to word it, but essentially, I guess just.
Do you guys deal with that with social media? Like putting yourself out there, it's a little bit like scary or. Okay.
For me, I have to break through that because I just never, like, even on a personal level, I don't use social media at all.
Yeah.
I use it as a messaging app.
Yeah.
Because let's say like 90% of my family is still like in different states, in the country, so I just like write to them and that's it.
Yeah.
But like actually putting like, you know, like what I did this week, or like I share that with people around me, but like on social media.
Yeah, you're not like trying to be some wannabe influencer where it's like, hey, I'm in the bathroom, you know, like.
I don't really just for me, it's more of like coming from a place of like a genuine place.
Yeah.
So that's why for like past few years, I've just been like retaining knowledge, I've been going through the experiences, and not sharing much because I guess with whatever I want to say that I'm saying it. You know,
Yeah. And here's another thing too, is like you also need to make sure that in your mind, and I think this clashes with a lot of people, you're not out there trying to be a teacher. Because like in that case, I would understand, I want to have the experience, right? But even my first couple of years on social media, I wasn't teaching yet. It was more just me sharing with people what I was doing. Like, hey, I went out door knocking today. This is what happened, you know? Hey, I wrote that's this line that I recommend you guys read it. My content was more like that. It morphed into coaching because people started helping me. So, hey, dude, you're door knocking so much and you're getting good at it. Like, do you have a course and do you want to help me? I was like, no, I'm not like a fucking coach. Like, I'm still a fucking new agent. But then after a while, I was like, shit, you know, I'm getting better now. Maybe I should help people, but they were asking me, right? But it never came from the position of me claiming to be a teacher, right? So as long as you guys aren't doing that in regards to your social media, it shouldn't really be a problem for you. From a mental standpoint, right? All we're doing here is sharing information. So if I'm going to give tips and tricks to a buyer or seller, right, and I've been licensed and I know the process, again, independent of how many homes I've sold, I know the process, I owe it to the consumer, right? I owe it to the consumer. I want to be the local expert here in Miami or fucking Tampa or Jacksonville or whatever it is. And all I'm doing is relaying information to the consumer, right? That's the way I viewed it. And it became a little easier for me to get on camera and do it. Then you have the process of filming it, you know, editing it and all that stuff, right? And of course, you can even ask Annabelle. We were just messing around yesterday filming like mock ads that I might run, and I was fucking up. And I've been doing this shit for 10 years. I mean, shit, you see that mark on the wall? I kicked it.
Because you were mad at yourself?
Yeah. I was like, fuck, man, that was the fucking 4th time. And I thought I was like, hate filming this shit because I hate doing the ads because like she brought up the whole genuine stuff. I was like, I want all my shit to be genuine. Like, I can't just do an ad like, hello, my name is Bob Smith, because I'm not fucking like that. I'm going to do it my way. And it took 3 or 4 attempts for me to finally be like, okay, that was the one, right? But that's okay. Everybody goes through it. Now, typically, I can film, like if I do an educational video now or teach somebody something, I just have her turn on the camera and we shoot it, and there's no problem at all, 99.9% of the time. But that's come from years of doing this. Right? Like to me, the camera now is no different than like me grabbing a bottle. Like I could go with you guys and we could be in the middle of like a street with people and I'll just start filming. Hey, you want to be on video with me? Like, and I wasn't like that in the beginning, right? But and this is the main exercise I would recommend for you guys, right? How many of you guys have ever filmed a video, even like privately for you, and then watched it? Right?
Seldom.
But I've already.
Yeah. So I mean, you making the content isn't a problem for you now, right?
Well, it still is.
Yeah.
It takes me a long time to shoot.
Maybe with you more then it's probably scheduling and being more consistent with it versus the fear of doing the video, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So for you guys, if that's still an issue, I'd recommend you do that and just set time where maybe every day you watch yourself, even if it's for a couple minutes, right?
So this is what I think. Is that okay if I say something,
Yeah,
Bryan?
go for it. Go for it.
Bryan, he's a freelancer, right? And I've been watching him since he started. He doesn't use script. He doesn't, that he's. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, he's right. So he just talks, right? And he makes it look so easy. So then people like maybe you and me, maybe like you and me, we get intimidated. It's like, I don't know how to just talk like that and just to be natural. So a lot of people do scripts, or some people do outlines. Some people say they do outlines, and then from the outlines they speak on it. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. It's just when I cry, I start crying.
But
I'm good.
It's okay.
Well, it's like the expression. Like when the expression comes, the tears come. Like I'm not sad.
That's fine.
Like the expression of
because
I'm similar.
Right? Really?
I'm working on it. It's like I'm fine. Like mentally, I'm fine, but then the body's going through something.
Yeah.
No, it's like everything that's going on through my mind, which I can't like explain to you all right now. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So then other people be like, oh no, you don't write a script. So many people have different ideas. It's like, I'm not gonna write a script verbatim because I'm not gonna be natural. Right? Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you, it could be different. I mean, let's say I write it verbatim.
Right. Well, because that comes from like then that's not just okay because if you can talk, but stay on point and stay on top.
Yeah, it's a process, right? It's a process because even to your point, like the outline, I would do that too, where like I would film and then maybe right behind the camera or on the board, I would have like 3 or 4 bullet points to remind me what to talk about, right? Yeah, and it would take a couple of tries sometimes. Like there's no problem, we can just keep doing it. But just like anything else, you get better, and then after a couple of years, then I could just. What do you want me to talk about? Okay, no problem. But that took years.
After you do it a few times, you kind of like have the same process, kind of like I start off whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. So these are the 5 tips of how to start your house. So it's like, have you ever wondered what are the main things that you have to think about before putting your house in the market? Well, in this video, this is you. This video is for you, something like that. So I'm going to give you these 3 tips, and then from there, I give you this an outline. This is something, and then from there, I can say who I am, what company I'm with, and then where I'm at, the same section, and then you just say a little bit about that, and then you go to your point. But I didn't know that before until I knew. I didn't know it until I knew it. Kind of like what you're teaching us. You're teaching us this, but you don't know until you actually know. It's just like any script over the phone. You have to follow it, and then after a while, I think you internalize it.
You got to crawl before you walk. Right? Yeah. And it's all a process. Like even when I started doing video, I started doing test video and practicing ever before I posted anything online. So even if you go to my YouTube channel from 10 years ago, my first video, that was already probably video number 200 before I finally had the balls to be like, okay, I'm putting this for the world to see, because people see it now like, oh, you're probably always a good speaker. No, I wasn't a good speaker a long time ago.
It's like everyone wants to be on stage.
Exactly. So it's just the process. I didn't film every second for you guys to see that. You just see the finished shiny product on YouTube, and you don't see the blood, sweat, and tears behind it. You don't see me kicking the fucking wall. You don't see me grabbing my fucking iPad 10 years ago and fucking throwing it. It's like, fuck, man, I can't make this fucking 20-second video. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Or, even mistakes. I would send clients videos and I'm like, shit, I have that thing in the background. It would be like a weed poster or something. I'm like, fuck. But then they don't even mention it. I'm like, fuck, they didn't even care. But I'm over here in my head like, fuck. Yeah, exactly. So, but it's a process. So just take it a step at a time. And the reason I gave you guys the instruction, you guys, for watching yourself is that's the biggest hurdle for people, right? Like if I would compare 10 years ago looking at myself on video versus now I can watch it with you guys and be, oh, this is cool. 10 years ago I would have been like, oh man, like I don't want to watch it. Embarrassed.
Voice,
of course, yeah. Oh, my voice, I look weird. Like you have all this that barrier is never like handled by you. You're never going to be good at video, right? Because you are literally saying, I don't enjoy me, I don't like me, I don't appreciate, I don't have confidence in me. So then how could I then have you watch and be like, yeah, watch, it's good. You can't even stand by your product, right? And I never was taught that, right? But I kind of figured that out myself just through, my own discovery and learning from other places and saying, okay, like this needs to be handled. Now, this isn't an ego thing like, oh, I'm so cool. It's just, dude, if I can't like appreciate myself or be okay with me, how can I expect somebody else to be okay with me, right? So I'd recommend you guys do that every day. Or if you're a part of private groups, like I know Loida has her women's group, right? Share your stuff in groups like that are closed, where you know people aren't going to be like, oh, you sound stupid, right? Because that's our fear, right? We already do that with ourselves. Once you do that, and I would recommend you do that too, again, not to be an influencer, but for your business, because it's huge. If we're not online, like right now, if I tell a client, oh yeah, I've been in the business 10 years, then they go online or on social media and they don't find me, that's bad. They're going to think negatively. They're going to be like, oh, this guy is shady. They might think that, right? Versus 10 years ago, they wouldn't care. Now they care. Now, when I tell them I have 200,000 followers on YouTube, they're like, come over now. Shit. They think I'm the man because they value social media or see it like, hey, if you're not on social media, you're not a real business.
It was like 10 years before if you didn't have a website.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
So like for me, I'm coming from a brokerage where we just completely disregarded all of this.
Yeah.
And I was able to hide for like a few years and just like do some transactions, but
yeah.
Don't want to do that.
Yeah, and another thing behind it too was, I didn't tell many people, but like back when the market crashed, my parents got burned. Like they bought a property at the peak, right? They bought some land in like, I think New Mexico. I don't know why they fucking like that state. There's like nothing there, right? It's trash. And then, the market crashed and they had to end up selling it and they lost a ton of money, right? And in my mind, I was like, man, I feel like the agent wasn't ethical with them. Like they sold them some bullshit just to make some money. So me coming in, it was like, I want to be noble. I want to be a good agent. I want to be good at what I do. I want to be honest with people. So in the sense, when I did that, I was like, man, I need to also dominate social media because I want people to work with a realtor. When I look at an expired or a FSBO, it's almost like, man, I need to convince them because I'm going to do a good job for them. The next guy might not, but I know I will. So it gives me more conviction to do these things because I'm coming from the right place, if that makes sense, right?
My father lost his foreclosure.
Yeah.
After that,
Yeah, so it's almost like, yeah, I might have the fear or hesitation, but the duty and obligation of doing what's right overcomes it in a way, you know what I mean? And that helped me in the beginning too, because I was like, man, I have to get this message out, right? So just like the tips and tricks, the how-to, right? How to buy a house, how to prepare your home, those are good. And giving people market information. Like, here's an idea I've given people that a couple people told me they posted it and it did really well for them. I said, how about this? Everybody's complaining about the interest rates right now, right? Say, hey, you know what, Mr. Buyer, potential person watching this video, this reel on Instagram or YouTube, I want you to guess right now, because the interest rates are 6%, right? And you claim you want to buy a house at 3% or 4%. What do you think the difference is on this home right here, this $400,000 home? What do you think the difference is in the payment? I'll give you a couple seconds, right? So you already did the math and right? And you can do this now. They're going to think, oh, it's $500 difference. Then you give them the reality and say it's $100 difference, right? I know everybody here probably thought you watching, or you can even tell them, comment below your guess before I say it, right? I guarantee, and you could say on average, most people think it's a $400 difference. It's actually a $100 difference, right? So let's put that in, right? Over the life of the loan, over 30 years, you pay an extra like $5,000, right? $5,000 over 30 years, right? But you're not going to buy a house because of a $100 payment. That's $3 a day. Are you willing to give up the Starbucks coffee to get in a house? Like, again, we can have fun with it, but that would be an example of giving market information in a clever way where you're attacking their thought process. Because that was my whole thing with this, is how can I destroy people's misconceptions or misbeliefs about real estate, right? And some of my reels, aside from the funny ones that I do, those are the best performing ones in regards to getting the right people to watch it. The other ones that helped me a lot were just me letting my personality shine. Like I did a series where I was pretending to cold call as different people. So I did one as like Tony Montana. I did one as like a New Yorker. I did one as Jim Carrey, where I would pretend to be them, but cold calling. And those videos exploded. They got like 50, 100,000 views, but that's just me like expressing my personality, because that's how I am. I'm goofy like that, right? That would be something that if we weren't filming, I would still do that anyway, right? So for you guys, you might not be funny, but what is it about you that you could show the world, right? Because that comes down to expressing your individuality, right? And everybody's different. Everybody's different, right? Cool. Any questions on the content stuff? I know it's simple, but it's just you guys doing it.
So Bryan, did you put content out every day? Or you only do like once?
When I started, it was 3 times a week, like 3 videos, right? Now it's pretty much every day, but it's different. You know, when I'm working 12, 14 hours a day in real estate, I don't have as much time, right? But I would say start with what you'll commit to. Create a schedule, and if the first month you're like, hey, I'm going to post a reel or a video on YouTube every 3 days, okay, start with that, as long as you do it consistently, you know? Because if I tell you do it every day and then you don't do it, then what's the point, right? So there's no perfect formula for that. But I would recommend eventually you get to the point where you at least make 1 post a day. You don't have to do a YouTube video a day, but Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, or Reels, do 1 a day if you can. If not, commit to 2 or 3 a week minimum. Cool. All right. If you guys have more questions, you can let me know. So software, right? Going back to the lead sources, these are some of the software companies that I use. You have obviously have had Vulcan 7, you know. Cole Realty Resource, the RedX, Haynes Directory, Rebo Gateway, Vulcan 7. These are all companies and softwares that will get leads for you and deliver them to you every day for you to contact. Addresses, phone numbers, and all the information you need to reach out to them to see if they'll do business with you. Why do I recommend these? Because they give you like FSBOs, they give you expireds, NODs, probates without you having to hunt the information. Because if you hunt it on your own, it's going to take you a long ass time. What's Realty? Cole Realty is a company that just provides like phone number leads. They'll give you absentee. They'll you can tell them, like as an example, I can go on Cole Realty and say, hey, I want all single family homes that are owner occupied in 33162 in Miami-Dade, right? And then you can pull up that zip code and they'll give you all the numbers that they can pull, right? It's pretty cool because you can set the parameters. Or you can say, hey, I want absentee owners. I want this, I want that. I want people who have lived in their home at least 20 years, right? Like there's a lot of parameters that you can pick if you want, and they'll give you the data, the phone numbers, the contact information, the address, the names. It's really cool.
I have software where I can find all of that, but
Yeah.
it's like the gathering the data.
Yeah.
That I'll typically have to do like prior, because if I try to do it that same day, then I'll get nowhere.
If that's the case, what I'd recommend for something like that is you pick a day where like you get your data for the week.
Yeah, and that's really easy, but I don't do it as often as I should.
Yeah,
but I have like little things like Remind, Forewarn, and IMAP, and usually that's like all I need, but it takes a while.
Whatever you got, whatever you have access to. So I would recommend, if I'm going to do that, maybe Sunday afternoon or Sunday night, I'm going to take 30 minutes or an hour to gather that data for the week and say, hey, you know what, this week I'm going to hit a lot of absentee owners and just listed, just sold. Let me pull in this area a couple thousand numbers to last me for the week. You know?
I'm not against software. I've tried RedX before, but I guess it comes from the foundation of do you know what you're going to say? So it's like I don't have as much motivation to stay with the software if I'm still not there. But I could be killing time trying to gather information and have like smaller conversations. As opposed to going back.
Because I'll tell you this, whether you know it or not, if you talk to 30 or 40 expired a day, after a week or two, you're going to be like, okay, you're going to get in the groove of it. Again, just like me, you're going to get knocked out so many times on the phone that you're going to have to, like, it's sink or swim, basically. You're like, okay, I'm not going to stop making calls, because this is my mentality. I'm not going to stop making calls. So if I keep hearing, I'm not interested, or, you know what, we're just going to keep the home off the market, I need to come up with a response, right? So that's where I would start messing around and say, you know what, tomorrow, when they say that, I'm going to say this. Was that ideally what you would like to do, or have you just kind of given up? And when I ask people that question, most people respond positively. How did I figure that out? By getting hung up on so many times. It's like, I got to figure this thing out. I got to make it through the heat. You know, I got to go into the lion's den and talk to these people, right? To the point where now when I call an expired FSBO and they're upset, I'm excited. I'm like, you know what? If they're upset, it's probably important to them. Let's talk. You know? Same thing. Oh man, all you agents. I'm like, yeah, I got to work with these guys every day too. I get it. And they laugh, you know? Or you know what? I bet I hate them more than you. Like I say funny stuff, but I'm comfortable now. Before I would never say that. I would be, I would mess up. But then I was like, you know what? As you get comfortable and better through the process, you start experimenting more and learning these things, right? But yeah, like what I would recommend, and it's tough, is oversaturation. Make a lot of calls, right? Pick a day, 1 day a week where you're like, you know what? I'm going to call like 5 or 6 hours today. And you talk to so many people that at the end of the day, you're like, man, I worked a lot, but even just in that one day, you'll probably improve a lot. You'll notice, man, by the end of the day, I wasn't afraid to call anymore, or my responses were already better in 1 day. Imagine a week or a month, right? But again, calling and knocking doors isn't glamorous. It's not sexy, right? We want to be the ones on Instagram with the Lamborghinis and all that. I get it. But when I got to that level by making the calls and doing all the dirty work, you know? And the interesting part is when you guys build your business this way, you build a ripe database, which we're going to cover now, because all of this is a feeding mechanism, right? And when you do it right, eventually you can start to step away from doing those things every day and having to do it to where now it's a luxury. Or you build up such a big database, now you're only calling and contacting your sphere of influence versus having to chase everybody else, right? Cool. We can go back to software later if you guys want, but that's just get what you want, right? So the lead follow-up in the database. So your lead follow-up system in your database, I think, is probably the most important thing, because all this work is for nothing unless this is solid, right? So this is the way that I did it. This is our system. You don't have to follow it necessarily. It's up to you, but I'll give it to you guys in a very simple way so you understand it, right? So for us, the lead follow-up system is predicated on what your definition of a lead is, right? For me and our team, a lead is somebody who's going to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in 30 days or less. That's a lead. Anybody longer than that, farther away, is in the database. But for it to be a lead, one of these three categories, it's 30 days or less. Okay, so this is how we split it up. I had 3 folders, 1, 2, 3, right? Somebody says, we're going to do something in 30 days. They're a warm lead to me. Warm lead. Warm lead is somebody who's 30 days or less. Here, I'll write it down so you guys can see it. Right? 7 to 30 days out. They tell me in a month we'll be ready. They're a warm lead, right? Less than 7 days, but we haven't set an appointment yet. They're a hot lead. You know what? Yeah, within the next week, we're going to do something, Brian. Boom. That's a hot lead. Right? Appointment is obviously somebody that we set an appointment with. Right? These are my 3 lead folders. So every day, I would look at my lead folders. Right? And I would move people. Okay, I just talked to this warm lead. He said he's going to be ready now, not in 30 days, but within a week. I move him to the hot lead folder, right? The hot lead folder, especially, you look at every day. All of it, every day.
So 18 is how many days out? Just
No. We're not talking about the teams yet.
Oh, okay.
Appointments, hot lead, or warm lead.
This is separate. This is the lead follow-up system right here.
Okay.
These, right? Appointments, hot leads, warm leads.
Okay.
Yeah. If they're more than 7 days away from meeting with you, up to 30 days, that's a warm lead. 7 days or less is a hot lead. Set appointment is a set appointment. Right? Those are your 3 folders. It's that simple. Right? Now, the reason I look at them every day is if I have a hunch, I'm going to call somebody. And I'll call them. Hey, you know, I had this gut feeling to call you today. I've told people that. And sometimes they're like, well, yeah, we talked and we actually aren't going to do anything now. Or, no, my job transfer isn't in 3 months, it's now, so we need to meet, right? So when you have it set this way, it's very easy, right? Now, what I'd recommend you guys do within your lead follow-up is find out from people when the best time is to get a hold of them. Hey, Annabelle, what's the best time if I really need to get a hold of you, even if it's for like a minute? When's the best time to contact you? Like really early in the morning before work, lunchtime, or in the evening? See, then I have 3 20-minute slots, 30-minute slots where I follow up with people early in the morning before work, right around lunch, and then also in the evening when I'm wrapping up my day, right? And you categorize these people in those categories and you'll know, right? If they tell me their preference and I call them at night, they're going to be more likely to pick up the phone or answer me, which is what I want, right? That's a little tweak that I made compared to what I was taught that really helped me a lot, okay? So how does this tie into the data? Well, I have 3 teams in the database, right? A, B, and C. A team, B team, and C team, okay? So let's say somebody says, I'm going to sell in a year. They're not a lead, and then in the follow-up system, they're in my database, okay? So this is the breakdown, right? A teamers are past clients, people that I've already done business with, very close friends, like people that when you call, they pick up and they call you by your first name, right? Also, people who are more than 30 days away from doing something, but less than a year. So we'll say 1 to 12 months from doing something, right? I know my handwriting is kind of fucked up, but I have no space, right? Past clients, very close friends, and then people who are 1 month to 12 months away from actually transacting. That's your A team. And then I'll give you guys a breakdown of how I contact them in a minute, okay? That's the A team. B team are leads that you met door knocking, cold calling, people who are more than a year away from doing something. Like they say, hey, in 2 years, we're going to sell, right? Acquaintances, people that maybe you used to work with that you're not really close with, right? All the people I meet through all my activities typically are in the B team, right? So if you meet people door knocking, cold calling, open houses, so on and so forth, right? That would be the B team. And then the C team is people who I only have emails of, because I'm still going to email them. And yes, that'll get you transactions. I always do a couple deals a year just through somebody emailing me, right? And what does it take to email somebody? You just input them in the system and then it automatically emails them, right?
So you wouldn't have them in either of the other ones?
Yeah, because a C teamer to me is somebody who maybe I don't have their cell phone, like I have very little details. I just have an email, right? Like, so that's more of like just an extra one, right? The core of it is the A team and the B team for sure. The C team is just a little extra, right? Why not email them? Because for somebody to be a complete database ad, you need a name, you need a full name, an address, a cell phone number, and an email for them to be legitimately a part of your database, right? So this is what I do, all right? With them, I have a basic breakdown, right? Weekly emails, okay? So I do 4 emails a month. And the emails are pretty simple. We rotate the same type of emails. We do a featured listing, which a featured listing can be one of your listings. It could be a hot listing in the area. It could be one of your company or your team's listing. It doesn't matter. Just show them a good listing, okay? Number 2 would be a testimonial. Your team's testimonial, your testimonial, any kind of testimonial. So we rotate, right? Early on in my career, I got like 30 or 40 testimonials right away, and we just cycle them. Once a month, they get another testimonial from a client. Congratulations to Annabelle. She finally moved to blah, blah, blah. Here's the keys. You know, we're so happy because she's been wanting to buy a house for 3 years, blah, blah, blah. That's in the email, right? We have featured listing. We have a testimonial. Also do a market update for your areas once a week. I would recommend you do that in a video format, but you can also add text to the email, right? And the last one would be an educational type of email that you do. Preferably, again, a video. So I just cycle those 4 every month. They get a market update, the featured listing, the testimonial, and the educational video, right? Make sure and I get the question, well, isn't it too much? No, it's not too much. Weekly email is perfect, right? Everybody gets a weekly email, A team, B team, and C team, okay? Now, the difference is when it comes to calls, right? This is what I do. I split up now in the time frame a call and a text with people, right? So we'll say call plus text, okay? So your A team, the frequency of a call and a text is every 30 days, monthly, right? B team, it's quarterly, every 90 days, once a quarter. So what do? A teamer, what am I going to do? I'm going to call him one month, text him the next month, right? And alternate, right? Same thing with B team. Now, what I would recommend that we do, that's one way of doing it. The other one is to split it. So every 15 days, I would call or text, right? Meaning in 30 days, 2 weeks, right? I call, 2 weeks later, I send them a text. 2 weeks later, I call, right? And we rotate it. You can do it either way. It's up to you. You can touch them once in those 30 days or twice. It's up to you, right? So when you do it quarterly, right? This is the way to break down the math, okay? Let's say I have 30 people in my A team, right? And how many days do we work in a month? If we work 5 days a week, what is that, 20, right? That means every day that I work, I have to contact 1.5 people from my A team. So we'll round it up, 2.
Oh, I'm going to take this part. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, hello?
Every day, you're contacting 2 people, right? If you have 20 work days in a month and you have 30 people in your A team, that means every day you have to contact 2 people based on the math. So every day, I need to talk to 2 A teamers every day. I need to shoot them a call, text, or whatever. And same thing with the B team, right? You would say, okay, I have, let's say, 90 people in my B team. How many work days are in 3 months, once a quarter? 60. If you're doing 20 a month, that's 60. That means, again, 1.5 or 2 people every day. So you would say, I need to talk to 2 A teamers every day and 2 B teamers every day. Simple math, right? Simple stuff. I'd recommend you guys call them and text them, but it's up to you. As long as you're reaching out to them and contacting them, that's what's most important.
Do you use some sort of system like one of those?
Yeah, like Chime, You're With Real, Chime, and stuff like that, because it helps organize it and consolidate it all into one space, right? In the beginning, I didn't have any of that for the first like 2 or 3 months of my career. So I just kind of tracked it myself on an Excel spreadsheet. I tracked the calls and all the information there. And then I used our system with Century 21 to send out the emails. I had to load it all in and do it. Once I got a software, like we use KV Core with EXP, you have Chime with Real, you can plug all this stuff in and get it ready, and it's pretty simple. You can also have emailing softwares like MailChimp is one. MailChimp is like, I think it's like $5 or $10 a month, and it's an email kind of a template that you can send out and set all this stuff up. But yeah, in the beginning, it's a little bit more complicated because you have to set it up. And once it's set up, it's pretty much automated, which is good. And then I track the calls on the Excel spreadsheet, right? The CRM normally will allow you to set up the calls and track them, but just depending on where you're at, I had to literally physically write it in. Like I would call people and write it in, right? Cool. All right. Another one, if you guys can afford it, mail them, right? Mail them. I would mail them at least quarterly, if not monthly. Shoot them a mailer. We created little Team BC postcards that are this big, and we would send it to our database once a month. You don't have to do it, but it's just another way of doing it if you have the money, right?
What system do you use? Like what company do you use?
I would have to get the information from Loida. I forget the name of the company that we use, but they automatically sent it out. I forget the name of the software though. It's like another software, right?
Did you like send them what you wanted to have there and then just?
Yeah, that's what we did. We had a company make the postcards for us, and then we send it to them, and they take care of it. But even I think now too, there's companies that they'll make it for you and send it, and they'll just charge you, you know. But off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of that company, right? But that's just optional, right? Like a lot of people don't have the money or don't want to do it. You don't have to. I just think it's another way to stay in front of people because they get something from you, you know. And we just send the same postcard every month, you know. And then obviously another one that we talked about earlier is doing the events with them, right? Making sure that you promote the event and do an event with them at least once a year. That helps build more connection with your database. And I think every time we've done an event, something good happens. I get deals, I get referrals, like it's just nice. And it's a good time to get to know everybody, chat with them more, and build more of a connection with them, right? Cool. Any questions on that? Good.
I got a flat yesterday, and I called the tow truck, and the person that picked me up, I got his information. I just sent the phone with him on Monday. But he's a renter, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Yes, I think all you missed is I talked about the mailer. I mail them. If you can, mail your database once a month.
Right. Like handwritten or?
Doesn't matter. We created like a Team BC postcard that we send people, and we just send it. Yeah. Just to stay in front of them.
Which one? All the teams?
A team and B team.
A team and B team.
If you can, right? Because doing it monthly is a big commitment if you have a big database.
Yeah.
But I mean, if let's say you have 100 or 200 people and it costs you 30 cents a mailer, it's not that bad. It's like $50, $60 a month, you know, just to stay in front of a lot of people. It's worth it, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's just like the basics kind of that we have to put in place when it comes to, you know, taking control and turning your business into a listing-based business. Because if you do this, you're going to generate a lot of business. You're going to get a lot more sellers. You're going to get appointments. You're going to get listings, and it's going to explode. Because now, like once you guys start getting listings, now you can start leveraging the listings to get you more deals, right? I can hold open houses on my own listings. I can send postcards around it. I can call around it. And now you have more leverage. Your listings are also going to turn into buyers, right? So that's the cool part. Any questions on any of this? Because that's pretty much the bulk of like what I wanted to talk about today. This is the basic foundation that my first year I did 13 transactions. My second year I did 29. My third year I did 39. It was all built off this. And then basically going into my third year and finishing it, I started growing the team, and then it just took off from there, right? But this is the foundation that I use for my business, right? And anything that I got additionally from social media was a bonus. This was all just the traditional stuff that I did that helped me build my business initially, that I teach my agents to this day, and people have massive success with. But this builds a listing-based business, a seller-based business. those 13 transactions that I did, my first year, only 2 were buyers. My second year, I did 29 deals, only 5 were buyers. And then the third year, I did 39, 5 or 6 were buyers. The rest were listings. And by that third year now, I'm getting in the groove. I'm working less. I'm not really working weekends. Like now I'm getting my time back because I have a listing-based business. When you're running around with the buyers, fuck, right? Like it's tough for me to get a buyer's agent to commit to only showing buyers homes at a certain time because they don't have control and they don't want to set that standard, right? But as a listing agent, you have to set standards, right? So it's just, it's different, right? It's much different. But
so Bryan, I haven't had listings like for
yeah.
sale yet.
Yeah.
So I know that you want to have the house prepared.
Yep.
So how do you present that to them? Like you get the listing contract signed today. So how do you present the buyer to they need to get the house ready for pictures and all of that?
Oh, the seller. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, what you want to do is like when I have the listing paperwork signed, I kind of have like a rough timeline that I give them, you know, I kind of ask them, hey, you know, for you guys to get everything prepared, I'll give you some suggestions. How much time do you think you need? Right? Because when we sign the contract, I let them know that we're going to bring the lockbox, that we need to get the pictures done, and that they need to prepare the home. So I do my best with them to kind of call and say, well, how much do you need? Do you need help? What suggestions do you need? Because you tell them the basics. Make sure that there's only neutral things. If you have too many family photos, start taking them down. You know, clean the home, declutter it, all the basic stuff. With us, I think it's more of making sure that you give a little bit of time.
So,
right?
So kind of like you presented it. So it's hey, I'm going to schedule a photography section.
Yep.
I have these times.
Yep.
This is what has to happen before that.
Yeah.
How long do you need? Kind of like
yeah,
that.
right,
Okay.
right. And most people, they say within a couple days, a week, you know, like it's not a problem.
Okay.
You know, but if you run into something like that, where maybe people have a lot of questions or they need help, or maybe we're working with a lot of elderly people who need help, then you create like a checklist or you create something that you can give to them. Because like what happens too is once I sign a contract, my transaction coordinator starts getting in contact with the sellers and they start communicating with them. Here's a timeline, right? This is how long things are going to take. This is what you need to do. My TC handles disclosures as well. Like they do a lot and they get involved with stuff like that.
So that's a good question. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't know what a TC would handle.
A lot.
Yeah.
So it's not just the contract paperwork. It's like.
Well, when you hire a TC, it's up to you. So when I sat down with my TCs, I said, I need all this done. What are you willing to do? Right. So
it's like a shift. Like,
yeah.
are you going like it's like you can't just ask. It depends, but like to what you're saying, a listing versus a buying agent is going to go on like kind of ask, whereas a listing agent has to delegate. So yeah. For me personally, it's been like a lot of like follow up with title, follow up with just signatures.
So that's a TC,
and that's a TC, like as in just keeping track of whatever the transaction actually needs. But I have had some issues with the seller, not issues necessarily, but looking back, what I learned is that emphasize what you want to emphasize. So if and just be straight with it, because at the end of the day, you already know what you're going to be looking at when it comes to a listing. Because I know what kind of listings I like versus what kind of listings don't do good, and it's not anything personal. But like let them know, hey, so this thing specifically, and that's after you build some trust, because you don't want to go to them and say, hey, like take all your stuff out. You know what I mean? But if they're already in the process of moving, then you can. And also, I didn't have a cleaning company, but you could also have a cleaning company and offer that service to them, because there's money that you have to put up front to work with the listing, like with the photos, just one example. You could have a cleaning company, but I didn't do that. But I went out there before the photo people went out there, and I was, you know, I literally like organized her pantry type of thing, you know, because it was like, it was a couple, but the mom was the one that was taking care of the house the most. So I went in there and I picked up like little things because they're going to be in the picture. So if you want to put in that time, but the home was actually fine. So that was the main thing, was just the cleanliness of it. But she did it. She did all she could. You know, there's going to be a point where they do all they can, and then you step in and you can offer resources. Yeah.
Yeah, but the TC, I mean, my TCs get disclosures done for me. They schedule inspections for me. Like they do a lot, but I ask them, right? They'll do a lot, but you know, they're an employee. So if you don't request,
you had like a virtual assistant one, or this one?
No, that's separate. Transaction coordinator is a transaction coordinator. The virtual assistant or an assistant would be different. You're going to give them different tasks. Okay. You know, yeah. But the transaction coordinator is more around just the transaction,
and
right?
You don't really meet them, so it is technically like you're just talking, emailing, texting.
So that's what I'm saying. So they work from their house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people have in-house transaction coordinators, but yeah, nowadays, yeah, it's a lot more virtual because everything is digital. Sign on the, email, DocuSign, all that stuff. Yeah.
And some people want that. Some people want that type of work. So
Yeah.
there's someone out there that would work with you.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
Yeah. But what I'd recommend you do is just come up with a list of what you would want them to do, and then if you're talking to transaction coordinators, say, hey, this is what I would want, and they'll tell you yes or no. Yeah. What else, guys? Anything? Questions, comments, concerns?
When you had to have a selfie.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
I know, right?
Yeah, the document.
Well, that's cool. And I'm actually really excited. I was looking forward to,
Yeah, simple stuff, guys. Simple stuff. It's a lot, but it's very simple, and literally that's in a nutshell what I did for my first 2 or 3 years.
And I believe this is true. It works. It's just that I don't know what's going on with me. Like I know that phone calls work because I was a recruiter, an Army recruiter for 3 years, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
You call what you call, in our case, graduates.
Yeah.
People that graduated high school.
Yeah.
It was either high school or graduates, right? Everybody else between the ages of 17 and 34.
Yeah.
So those graduates, you call them in the morning because I was at the elementary school, and in the afternoon after 5 you call high school. So we did that for like 6-7 hours every day, and then we went in person to the high schools and the local areas. But I wanted to. It's not like I don't believe it works. It's not like I cannot talk to people. I just kind of wanted to do it like the way now, like more of social media and like one-to-many rather than one-to-one. It's not that I don't think it works. It's just, it is.
Well, the thing with social media too is I think a lot of people, and I know for a fact, like a lot of people who talk about building big businesses on social media, they're full of shit. They sell you courses, but they don't actually get any clients.
Oh, all of my deals came from social media, but they did too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's cool and it can work, but like I tell people, like, okay, let's say you decide to do it and you believe them. Well, if your profile has 5 followers and you get 5 views on your videos, who the fuck is going to do business with you? Nobody knows you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So exactly. So if you run ads and all that, that's fine. But even then, like let's say somebody came to me and said, okay, I want to do it that way. I don't want to cold call. Well, when the leads come in, what are you going to tell them? Do you have the systems? Do you have the skills? You stood like.
No, I'm not against the calling. It's just kind of like I've done that. I've done
right. But I get why it's so popular because most people coming in aren't in your position. They're just scared or they don't want to work hard. They're like, oh, I can just make videos and make a lot of money.
No,
you know?
I mean, videos are not easy either. You have to put in.
Well, compared to making cold calls, videos are way fucking easier.
I don't know.
You know?
Like for me, it's like I just
really? Like for me, it's like, dude.
No, because you have the video, you have to come up with what you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, right.
I have to literally write the whole thing up.
Yeah.
Then I have to practice the reading.
Yeah.
Then I have to record it, and it's going to be edited. So it's not like it's not work.
I guess I'm thinking of it from the traditional standpoint. Like if I go out there and knock on doors and make phone calls, it's more like work versus just hey.
I mean that is. I mean it still works, just a different kind of work.
Yeah. It's different.
So,
it's different.
For me, I guess it just depends on your environment. But for me, I like that's what I'm saying. Is like I need to like break the barrier because I'm like so completely repelled about it, because for me, like just social media in general, it's like, okay, that's what I've had since, the first one that I had was Instagram. I hardly even did Facebook because my mom did a lot of me. But regardless, I was always like, oh, Instagram's there, like my friends, like I'm not really, doing anything with it. Like that's separate. Like I'm not gonna like bring all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like what I have to like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's what I have to bring. So for me, it's like, I was kind of repelled by seeing other people do it because it's like, well, I mean, you see, those are vanity metrics. You know what I mean? Like, oh, how many people saw this? How many people did that? How many actual conversations have you had?
And I'm not.
But I wasn't able to like combine those two.
Let's do a selfie.
Cool.
You don't do selfies anymore?
Nah, not really.
With your class in the back.
Only with people.
You ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese. Really? That's the picture you're gonna give me? Let me see. No, we need.
You want a regular one? You want a regular?
You like my husband? I don't want to be like a selfie.
Oh,
thank you. That's a better one.
Normal enough? Okay, cool. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it, guys. Unless
No,
you have
thank you so
other
much. We're
questions,
about to leave.
questions,
Because
comments,
you have another class?
concerns. Shit, we got classes like every hour here.
Yeah.
Well, I do a lot of stuff online too. So I mean, every day I would say I'm doing. Every day I think I'm teaching at least like 2 or 3 hours a day now.
Okay, well.
Yeah, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
Thank you so much. You wanna talk about?